Hey, how's it going, guys? Shogun here with another model kit review. Today we have the 172 scale high-end master model Death Stinger from Kotobukiya. So without further ado, let's start the review. This is Kotobukiya's 41st model kit in the Zoids line. The kit is about 17 inches long, which is 450 millimeters for you overseas people. Some kits I would compare it to, the build is similar to that of the Berserk Fury, like you build the inner frame and the armor pieces on top of it, but I would compare the kit size to around the Darkhorn size, which is kind of a downside for me. The kit was released at a retail price of 14,800 yen, which is about 125 USD, which is the HMM Berserk Fury was released with a retail price of around 73 USD. And the HMM Darkhorn was released for around 61 USD. Just a bit of a disclaimer, I have done some paint work to this kit. I have dremeled out some of the cannons, so yours will look a little different out of the box. I haven't done much work to it. I'll go over that whenever I go through details. For me, this kit took around 25 hours to build, and that was spread out over a few days. I did take some breaks. It was a very leisurely build. I didn't go all in and build it all in one sitting, though it is very possible if you have the time. It's not overly tedious. It's probably, it's not Kotobukiya's easiest Zoid model to build, but it's not their most difficult either. Okay, in terms of articulation, you've got the head, which is on a double hinge joint. That allows it to bend up about that much, and then if you take off the mask, or move it up rather, you get that much of a bend but it tends to pop off. Anyway, right here's the joint, and it allows you to bend and that far, but it's a little restricted by the armor, and just to give you and then this actually gives me a chance to show you just how that hinge joint works for the armor. You can see it's on a little piece right there. It allows you to tuck it away right there. You've got this little shield piece. It moves a little bit. And then you've got these mandibles that move out. And then these darker gunmetal pieces can be moved out as well, making for a fearsome display. And then you have the opening cockpit. You can see the little pilots. Right. There. Okay, because my space is limited, we're going to just detach these pieces and show you how each of them moves. You've got the claw right here. Both claws open and close about that much. Both claws have a little armor piece that flips out like that, and the claw can fold down to reveal the little hidden cannon, which can pop out and go back in. The claw itself has a hinge right here that bends forward that much and back that much and swivels all the way around. And you got the blade right there that folds out so far. And then you've got a bend right here that goes this far and that far and spins all the way around. And then you've got a small little joint right there that bends forward that much, back that much, and swivels all the way around as well. And each of the legs has a small little joint right here at the base that bends that far and that far. And you've got a joint right here that bends this far, and it stretches out that far. And then right here, I guess you could call it the ankle. It goes forward that far, and out that far. And then each foot has a tiny little claw right there for extra stability, or whatever you want to do with that. Just gonna pinch you. Going back to the main kit, the big gun on the back tilts up about that far, tilts down about that far before it bumps into the back, and it rotates out to the side that far, and out to that side that far without bumping into all this stuff. And then you've got this back section that does sort of help with movement, that you can wiggle around like that. And back behind him, he's got these little claws that have a bend right here. Lets you bend it out. Lets you wiggle it around. And you got one right here that bends it pretty much the same way with a swivel joint right here. And then you've got a bend on the actual claw itself. It'll bend forward that far, bend back that far. And then, of course, the claw opens up that far, and it'll close like that. Got some nice detail, got some thrusters right there. And the tail has some fantastic amount of articulation. You've got a bend right here that goes that far that way, that far this way, and then you got a bend a little further up the tail. Goes a little bit that way, goes way back that way, and you got a bend right here. Pretty much the same articulation there. And then right there at the tip, you got a bend there, and a bend there. And then all along the tail, you got these little armor flaps. I guess they work like the Genosaur's flaps that allow it to gather charged particle energy. And then you've got these little guns on the tail. They can open up like that. A little tricky. And these little side guns right there, you can bend those out. Usually. They're a little fiddly, but there you go. And then you got the claws that'll open up like that. And then the barrel of the charged particle gun extends, and there you go, ready to fire. And finally, right here on the other underside of the kit, you got these little pieces right here that'll open up, reveal a little thruster, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 holes that you could use with just about any Kotobukiya action base, which is pretty cool. Alright, and just going over a bit of detail, just to tell you which parts I painted and which parts I didn't. Everything, for the most part, is the same color. I did paint a few of the silver parts in Testor Silver. Yeah, that's it. I like this little silver part right there on the gun. All of these little hoses, all those little chrome or sort of shiny metallic hoses. I've painted the gold in Testor's gold. Same for these little pistons all over the legs. And I also painted all the detail you see right in here. There's a couple spots where I need to clean up a little bit, but overall I'm very happy with it. One final thing I just wanted to say before we get started with the pros, cons, and final verdict. There are a couple pieces that will need to be painted. These are very small pieces. These tips right here on this gun, on both sides, they will need to be glued. Also, these little panels right here on this back plate, they will need to be glued, or else whenever you pop this up, they're going to go flying. So you'll probably want to glue those down. Other than that, you're not going to need much glue for this kit. Alright, now we're on to the pros and cons of this kit. There were some things I didn't like about, and I thought that Kotobukiya could have done something about. First of all, the parts count is a little low for a kit of this price point. It doesn't feel as complex as the Berserk Fuhrer did, but at the same time it costs significantly more than the Berserk Fuhrer. And also, I believe it was advertised to have a higher parts count than it actually does, and it only has a fraction of that. And another thing, the color scheme is a little different than what we've seen in normal Zoids lore. Usually the Death Stinger was seen in either the Yuji Kata colors, which were the nice white with the rich maroon, lavender, red color, or whatever you want to call it. That looked absolutely fantastic. And I wish they would have gone with that if they were going to go with a different color release for the mass release like this one is. I would have preferred them to choose that. But these, they do take some getting used to. They have grown on me. I do like these colors now that I've seen the kit in person and I built it. But whenever I saw the colors in the original photos, and whenever I opened the box, I was a little but now I really dig the colors. They don't bother me as bad as I thought they would. I would really have preferred the Yuji Kato limited edition colors. And one final thing, and this goes with a lot of Kotobukiya kits. These pointed edges are sharp. Don't believe me? Look at where I got jabbed. There's just a little spot right there, but they're sharp enough to hurt you. They can poke you. And some things I did like about this kit. The sculpted detail, once again, is fantastic. And this usually goes for all Kotobukiya kits. And then another thing this kit has that another thing that really surprised me about this kit was how tight the joints are. This kit, just to give you a little thing, this kit is standing roughly an inch off the ground, using its own support, using its own legs as support. It is very sturdy. The claws are holding themselves up. It can hold just about your toes. Now it's going to sink. But the joints are very tight. Not at all like the Iron Kong. And I've seen that with Kotobukiya's more recent kits. I built their Gojulus, which was absolutely fantastic. The kit itself has a lot of panel lining detail, and you don't have to panel line everything. You can panel line just like I did, the silver and the brighter colored pieces, and then left this gunmetal unpanel line. Or you can go crazy and panel line the whole thing, and it'll still look great. The kit itself, it's a hefty, sturdy kit. It's a lot heavier than it looks. It's got some weight to it. It's not hollow. And then overall, the kit looks fantastic. I love this kit. It's great. One thing I will say, the kit is a little more expensive than it needed to be. I felt this could have been around Berserk Fury price. It was 100. And then the limited kits, the hilts colors. I would have been fine if that was the regular release and this was the limited edition release. But these colors are fine, and I don't feel that the hilts, for what you get with the hilts, is worth the extra $150 that you're going to be forking out for that piece, especially for aftermarket prices. Final thoughts. I give this kit a thumbs up. I give the kit a rank of A-, and only because of a few minor issues. The price is a bit steep, and the colors do take some getting used to, but I do like them just a bit better than the bright, loud anime hilts colors. I pre-ordered mine at AmiAmi, and I paid around, it was around $110, and that was with shipping included. And if you want it now, you're probably going to have to pay steep aftermarket prices. I'm not sure if the kit was more limited. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but the price does seem to have gone up. But overall, it's a fantastic kit. I highly recommend this if you are a fan of Zoids or Kotobukiya's kits. On the other hand, if you're going to compare this to, like, let's say, a Gunpla kit, your mileage will vary. One thing that I do wish that Kotobukiya would have done was employ some thick ball joints to maybe give these the head and the claws, a little bit of extra movements, a little bit of more smooth movements. But it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's a fantastic kit. I do not regret getting this at all. And I do recommend picking up this kit because it will, the price will increase like the Berserk Führer did. And it's going to go fast, so I recommend you go out and get this kit. It's a great kit, a fantastic addition to any Zoids collection. It's not so big that it's going to take up a whole lot of space, but it does have heft to it. One thing I was afraid that this kit would look was very spindly, like the older Death Stinger with a big bulky body and short little legs. But the kit looks very good. It's very proportionate. Looks like, I don't want to say it looked just like it jumped off the screen, because they have added some detail that does differentiate from the anime. But overall, it's a fantastic kit, and I highly recommend it. And that does it for this Zoids review. This is Shogun signing out, and we will see you at the next review.
I will devour your soul.